What's up, everybody? My name is Chris Mayer, and you're tuned in to The Bit Show. That's right, the Boston Indies talk show and happy hour, brought to you by Boston Indies, Boston's home for independent games. And we're back. Season 4. Had to take a little break. I was moving. It was a lot of work, but here we are. We're ready to go. Broadcasting live from beautiful Concord, Massachusetts. Birthplace of the Revolution, I think, is our thing. I don't know. We're still figuring it out. My neighbor gave me eggs. That was cool. That's all I got. Just a short little season here. Probably going to be like 4 episodes, and then we'll wrap it up. I'm about to be very busy starting in June, so keeping it tight. But, there's just so many people that I want to talk to in the community that we just had to do a couple more. So here we are back for a short season, and we have, of course, a great show for you tonight. But before we get started... Oh, I'm not wearing my hat. I messed it up. God, just immediately screwing up the whole thing. All right, there we go. Just a couple announcements before we kick things off here. First up, Boston Festival of Indie Games is running their BFIG Talks and Learns event at the end of May. That's going to be May 29th and May 30th. And that's, it's talks. It's like a little mini GDC, a little game developers conference. A bunch of people are going to be presenting about, the games that they're working on or interesting tech or whatever they got going on. And they're actually also accepting talks through the end of this month. So I will put a link in the chat for folks to go and, submit a talk if you'd like, or you can register for the event early if that's exciting to you at all. Next week, Boston Unity Group is going to be running a demo night along with Game Dev CT. That's the Connecticut Game Dev meetup. I don't know a lot about them or this event. That's going to be on April 28th, and there's put a link to that in the chat as well. Very curious to see how that one goes. We have wanted to run demo nights for a while now, but never really figured out a good way to do it virtually. So, check that out. John in the chat is commenting on how great my audio quality is. My microphone broke a month ago, and I got a new one that is much better, and that's why it sounds so much better. And I should have just done it a year ago because we ran this talk show with my shitty mic for whatever it was, like 8 months. But here we are. It's a blue Yeti, and it's all black. It's great. All right, I have one more. The Pioneer Valley game developers are running a coffee hour tomorrow morning. I think it's at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. I'll put a link to that in the chat. And they're also running a talk on May 2nd about social media management, so check that out. 8 a.m. is the answer, is when that event is. And I think that is going to do it for me. Let's kick off the show.
Intro!
Oh wait, I gotta turn Réjon off. I forget how to do it. All right, just start talking. The show's on now.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I was so busy playing Turnip Boy.
He commits tax evasion. That's crazy.
You'd love to see it.
He's going to jail. No.
That's getting ahead of ourselves. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. Great to be back. Ichiro, you're looking better than ever. Wait a minute.
That's me.
We have with us today as you'll remember from Bit Show episode 8, the talented designer, producer, actor, worked on Call of Karen. It is Kate Olguin here, filling in for this season. For Ichiro. We're so happy to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. Me, Ichiro, and no one else. It's definitely Ichiro. No. Thanks so much for having me. Very, very happy to be back here saying words in front of people. Good times.
Now, when you defeated Ichiro in single-handed combat, was this the prize you were expecting?
Hail to the king, baby.
I was expecting all of his skills and talent. And it was I need my t-shirt that says I defeated Ichiro Lamb in single-handed combat, and all I got was hosting Bit Show, which great consolation prize. No, very, very excited to be on here.
And Ichiro's taking a pass this season. He has a kid and a kidney stone, and so he's chilling and he told me he'd be happy if anybody wants to donate some spare time to him. He would be happy to receive that. like not to do your stuff. He just wants the abstract concept of time. If I wasn't being clear there, that's what he's requested.
It's like a blood drive.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
it is.
You put on.
It's like a precious life. I almost imagine it as a fluid. Also, yes, time. He wants your time fluid.
Be really good to just like mail someone like an envelope that's just completely empty, and then just be like, "What's the deal?" And it's like, "Well, I've just mailed you some time." Think of all the time I put into writing an address on that envelope. That's yours now. Congratulations. Do with it what you will.
I believe this is the plot of that Justin Timberlake film.
Click? No, I'm kidding.
Well, we have a lot to say. We've been off for a while now, being negligent in reporting all the wonderful goings on and wonderful people. So the outline of the show is, as always, we have the bit showboating segment, and we have a fantastic guest today. So let's get into that bit showboating. And
Let's do it.
Yeah. I'll start with the first one. You can take the second one.
Oh boy.
Unless you want. Have we even included you into what is going on here?
I came into this room and someone threatened me with a shovel, and then they're like, "Sit in a chair and speak words," and I'm like, "Oh God, okay."
I was promised there'd be no responsibilities. We're just gonna go through our beautiful list here that Chris has made and comment briefly on all the wonderful things going on.
We can actually also just skip the first one because I arguably already did it.
Sweet. All right. Oh, and I was just promoting that other one. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. It just came out on desktop and Switch. Congratulations to the whole Turnip crew who were also on some episodes earlier, and it looks great. I played it. We could say a lot more, but we have so many more games to look at.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Super great team. I'm looking at the Twitch stream, which is in fact behind on my computer. So I'm a buffoon. It's Emily is Away. Here we go. Emily is Away by Kyle. That's the third one. Very exciting. I believe it's the third one. Yeah. So Kyle's a great dude. Emily is Away is super neat. He's a great narrative guy. I'm doing a great job, in case you couldn't tell. Go check that out. It's awesome.
And if you haven't played Emily's Away 1, that is available for free on Steam, so you can check that out and get a sense for if you like it. That first game is super good. Super highly recommend that one.
Yeah, they're all good. I really enjoyed number 2 also. So 3 today, and 3 it set my wallpaper. You can't see it right now. I got that Emily's Away wallpaper. It comes with free wallpapers that set the ambiance. It's really cool.
Wow.
We're gonna take forever because there's so much cool stuff going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Battery Boy, another one. Petrichor, close to our hearts. Oh, Battery Boy. They've been working on this for a long time. I remember playing it years ago. Probably years. Back when I had an office in the old times. They came in and had this great concept of a game that's actually tied to your phone's battery. It's finally out. Congrats to them.
Yes. Love Battery Boy. And we also have 3 out of 10 Season 2 by Terrible Posture. The world's first playable sitcom, ? We're seeing a lot of interactivity in terms of the crossover between games and shows lately. So super cool to see this happening. Out for free on the Epic Game Store. Wild. And look at that. It's neat.
From local badass Joe Mirabello.
Love that.
Cozy Grove. It's all the coziness you want, and it's not the tedium and whatnot of Animal Crossing. It's better. So I hear. And the most important thing is that that Graham made it. Graham's awesome. Well, Graham working with Spy Fox. I just think it's so cute and doesn't need a whole lot more advertising. Yay. Oh, we probably should. All right. What? You go ahead and explain this next one.
Hi, it's me, who definitely knows the most about this next game. By local developer Pop Cannibal. I don't know. Weird. It's Serrano. Man, maybe someone else should say some words about it.
Luigi and I made another game. It is a adaptation of a play that's also a card collecting game, a letter writing game, and a poker game. And it's been translated into 6 languages. It's part of the Ludo Narracon Festival. It starts tomorrow on Steam. So just go on Steam. There's a big festival, all sorts of narrative games. There's going to be interviews with a whole bunch of great people. Cyrano has packed into it wallpapers and music, soundtracks from a ton of other cool games, including Cozy Grove has some pack-ins into Cyrano. So jump on that. Yeah.
Oh, and now we have Drake Hollow by Molasses Flood. That's local. I mean, all of them are local. But we've got a patch, Bramble Beatdown. Got a lot of combat updates, quality of life fixes. Check it out. Free on Game Pass, also on Steam. Drake Hollow is super cool. It looks rad as heck. I think we had Forest on Bit Show a while ago. So go check that out.
And that was even just that was all the actual releases. Now we're just getting up to the devlog stuff. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna pause because I feel absolutely panicked for time. Like, oh my god, there's so much great stuff, and I'm not respecting it enough. Like, a lot of this just represents so much great hard work from people, and I both want to make sure we give time to it. But I feel almost like being rude, just being, oh yeah, so and so they released a game. This is amazing stuff.
It's crazy good.
Should all be happy.
Well, we do also have a guest whose time we should respect by not talking about other people's games for the entire show.
All right, devlog. Ichiro's showing off his next Monster Loves You stuff, his stuff, and his T-30. It's all looking great and sexy. Follow it, everybody.
I also worked on all 3 of these, so please look at them.
Oh, really?
I did things for them, mostly QA.
Wow, all 3. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And then we got Alpha 1 stuff by John Bellini, who's in the chat. Woohoo, John Bellini. Alpha 1's look like every time I see Alpha 1, it looks cooler. So I'm super excited to see where John continues to go with all this rad stuff. Love that.
All right, I'm still getting complaints about my voice. I'm gonna go real close to the microphone.
Ooh, there it is.
Yeah. There it is. Ziba ASMR.
Going in a late night mode. All right, draw stuff. Spider Florist. More bugs. Looking great. Love the bugs.
Love these bugs.
Maps, some vertical mapping. I love hand-drawn game maps, like dev game maps. It's just makes you. It's full of possibility.
Love that. We got Betty and Earl by the folks over at Giant Light. Betty and Earl, another one that looks like, I just love the way this game looks. It's so charming and cute. I think they were over, and I think they were runners up at the Master G Game Challenge not too long ago. It's really coming along. It looks great. Love to see it.
Yeah. All right. Oh, Manny with his soul iron tail. Pause menus. There's something so lovely about when you get a pause menu and it feels so official and like you've got a real game when you put a pause menu in there. That's nice. Congrats on your real game.
Also, respect to Manny for saying he made a cool pause menu. I think that's pretty accurate, but respect the hyping it up a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
Love the competence. You gotta self-promote. Very good. And it is a cool pause menu.
It is.
Hell yeah. Next up,
we got Dan's Terraria, one of those. Look, he got a little skeleton man. He hits things. I love to see it. No, I honestly, as someone who has made many little tiny prototypes of games, always super cool to see, what little stuff people is up to. I say little, like that didn't take a while to make, which I presume it probably did.
Terraria, a pretty small game, not a lot to do.
All right, we're Jesse's making an automation thing. That's what that is. It's got hexagons. It's got numbers. Looks like a game.
Nothing like some automation.
It's dripping with possibility, but I don't know what it is yet. I'm sorry, but it is a thing. Thank you for sharing.
I don't think he knows either at this point.
Well, good. We
That's
welcome
neat.
Things.
We can figure it out together. Petrichor. We got cue balls, battle billiards. So they did a local multiplayer pool game this week at Petrichor for the Stadia Playcrafting Jam. Oh my god, I love the little arms flailing around. I love everything about this, to be honest. It's cute, it's charming, it's funny. You whack people. I mean, what more is there to want out of a game experience?
Well, maybe you want a MOBA that's full of zombies. And that's what Evan Martinez is going to bring to you as soon as they figure out a title for it.
Look at that.
It's the right ingredients. It's what the world wants, clearly. So
Did I put the same video in here twice? I think I did. Nice.
It was
I've
so
gotta start the whole
important
thing
that
over.
we needed to see it twice. It was really important. You won't be able to absorb it right the first time. It's like 3D glasses in the experience.
And our final entry here tonight.
We got Untitled Rolly fighting animal game by Evil Villain Games. Yeah, I love this. I love this little guy. Look at him. He's just a funny little fella. They're working on a new enemy, Pug with a Mug. I want to own one as a plushie now and forever.
I feel like Pug with a Mug's a good title for the game.
Pug with a Mug. Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. I like it. It'll sell. All right, that is our all too brief tour of releases and devlog. We had no doubt that you all would keep making amazing things and sharing them with us, and I hope this inspires you to share, because it's really motivating to see what everybody else is doing. So, thanks, y'all.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Let's get a round of applause for all the folks out there making video games.
With exclamation point clap in the chat too. I mean, we can wave our hands too, but we've got bot show set up in the nice.
This is why I need to hold up a sign that says applause.
All right, we are. Don't we have we don't have an applause sign? I thought we had.
No, we do. It's fun to have a physical gag as well. Hold on. Where's my Sharpie? No, I'm kidding.
5 minutes later. All right.
5 minutes later.
Well, let's move on to the main attraction here. Today's guest is a talented joy that you need in your life. You may already be impressed when I tell you that they are a UX designer, entrepreneur, developer of web front ends and communities, a software and audio engineer, and so much more. But your socks will electively separate from your feet when you realize they do it all looking this damn good. That was there we go. There's the picture. Please welcome Réjon Taylor-Foster.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Man? What's happening?
Oh, it's
Welcome.
grand.
Réjon,
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you
How
for
are
having me.
how are you today?
It's a beautiful day here, day 1064 of quarantine. As you can see, I've upgraded my user interface through some experiments I've been running this year, and the lab is coming together pretty nicely.
Do you have your own much more stylish like Twitch show that you were constantly, because you were set up very nicely there?
Not at the moment, but I am slowly planning to do kind of a live documentary arcade racing Twitch thing where I kind of just nerd out about anti-gravity racers for a couple of hours.
Yeah, sign me up.
I would pay
mean,
to see
watch,
that.
Yeah. Awesome. But also, congratulations on one of your projects blowing up right now. Spirit Swap. What is Spirit Swap?
You're gonna have me in tears. Spirit Swap is a lot of things, and it's much more than just myself. I am one of the co-owners of a cooperative called Self Not Weak. We are primarily located out in Redmond, Washington, but I happen to be our Massachusetts resident and representative for the Boston community. And we essentially came together last August and started to put together kind of I'm not gonna talk my ass off, but I think we're making probably the big push and quintessential, really hot and really accessible puzzle games, specifically puzzle action games with a lot of love put into the narrative sector, kind of bringing together a little bit of that match 3 and some of that visual novel love together to create an almost Hades-like experience. But imagine if you had something like Panel de Pon or Tetris, and then Tetris Attack, and you combine that with the visual novel and game loop of something like Hades, and you've got a recipe for not disaster, but for a magical creation that we hope to inspire many other people with.
I mean, and you've already got a recipe for a Kickstarter that's cracked 6 figures just a few days in. So that's really exciting. And a demo, people should go play the demo. You can find it off that Kickstarter link. It's got all the feel you want. It's present. This isn't one of those Kickstarters where it's like we're dreaming of a far off distant idea. Like your team clearly has something. So what have you actually been working on with Spirit Swap?
I am the lead UI UX person, so I'm kind of in charge of listening to my creative director, who I believe is here with us today in the chat. They go by
hey.
Dirtbag Boyfriend. That's my creative director. They brought me onto the project originally as a contractor because they really loved my website. And I was like, yeah, I would totally love to work with y'all. I think this would be an awesome opportunity to make something dope. And one thing led to the next, and they came to discover I do a lot more than just UI UX. Like I've got like these like iceberg skills, if you would say. And I started really helping to contribute in a number of other areas like game design, and one thing led to the next, and before I knew it, I was helping to also lead the audio team, which didn't really need a lot of leading, I would say. Melty Cannon and the rest of the team, they're pros, and they very much know what they're doing when they come to the soundtrack. Like chef's kiss, really hats off to the music team, and hats off to everybody on the team, the artists, the musicians, the narrative team, our engineer Morgie, like mad love to all of them, because we just happen to currently be a lightning in a bottle. And I'm very excited to help bring something like this to reality, especially something that feels like it's very needed right now, something that makes people feel comfy, feel cozy.
Right. Well, one of the things that when I was talking to you earlier, you mentioned that you had to shift your socials when the Kickstarter got big, is how I phrase it. Right. The game's clearly resonating both positively with cozy. Was it bringing out trolls or some mode? What did you mean by having to shift your socials?
So most folks in the Boston community know I'm like a major ghost, where I'll just show up, drop something really large, and then disappear for like 2 or 3 years. And I absolutely suck at using Twitter. That place gives me major anxiety. So I'll go on there and I'll just be like, is it sad boy hours? Am I gonna come on Twitter, cry for a couple of hours about how just this one thing just didn't do the thing I wanted to do? Or, am I just gonna come on here and talk about my work? It's the duality of man, where I can't leave Twitter because I happen to find most of my work on Twitter. And it's like if you disappear from that sphere, it's very hard to really establish a platform. But I also came to the sudden realization that I don't tweet, and somehow I have 900 people following my account. And I'm like, okay, there are a lot of really cool people following me. I don't really want to disappoint these people. A lot of these people are like my mentors, like you, Ziba, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of other folks who've like always really been around when I was around. And it's like, okay, maybe I need to like shift gears, make this a work only account, and then make my personal where I talk all my shit. And I just go, soup of the day. You know what I'm saying? It's like my golden Twitter account, but you don't actually have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for my tweets on my private. But it's also being aware that we are making a game that is about us. It's about our team. We are a Black and Middle Eastern focused people of color, queer, front forward company. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I came out to my team. You know what I'm saying? I came out as non-binary and bisexual, and that was a really big thing for me. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't really have the space to do that with that team. Where being non-binary was really just me wanting to be my true self, and that kind of experience is empowering. It's something that is rare. It's more than video games, I would say.
Yeah. You mentioned that you had a big focus on narrative with Spirit Swap, and you mentioned that your team is incredibly diverse in this way. And I can see influences in there in Spirit Swap, in the Kickstarter where it's described as a queer game, but how did that all come together to make Spirit Swap, all your different backgrounds and all?
It's really just I would say like the galaxy brain decision making of the original founders of Soft Not Week. That would be Dirtbag Boyfriend in the chat. That would be Alex. That would be Morgan, and that would be Chris. And they came together with a really bold concept of like, yo, let's do video games on our terms. And for me, being Maximum Crash for like 10 years now, going on 11, it was very much like really in my wheelhouse, where I was really looking to radically change how I made video games, because I very much drifted outside of the AAA space on purpose. And really just instead of for me, it was really just I didn't want to go work on SpongeBob for the rest of my life and then be burnt out of making games, be burnt out of doing the thing that I love so much, that by the time I actually got some freedom to actually help direct or help lead or help, just have an impact on anything, Maximum Crash, it would be too late. And by me even having the opportunity to join Soft Not Week as part of their like worker to owner pipeline, it's really just all about empowerment, and really all about like, if you want to do things, there's nobody that'll tell you no. And we will all come together to make sure we can make that a reality together.
That's beautiful.
Love that.
I don't want people to get the impression that that this is the first time you've been having grand adventures doing your own stuff. Because looking back at what you've been doing already with Becker and SIP and stuff, just to roll back a little bit about, I want to talk about baseball and Mass Digi.
America's favorite pastime.
Yeah, because it seems like you have been I don't know, following your heart, or at least joyful, inspired adventures there. So, can you tell us a bit about Starlot Derby and what that led to?
Oh goodness. Okay, if we're diving into my memory banks from about 6 or 7 years ago, a little bit of history before Starlot Derby. I am from Mount Vernon, New York. So if you don't know where Mount Vernon is, if you know where 241st Street of the Bronx is, that's where I'm from. I also grew up in Throgs Neck, so big love to everybody out there near Swinton and East Tremont. But I went to college at Becker College, rest in peace. We'll get to that. And when I first got to the college, I came to a very sudden realization that I was a little ahead of the curve, because I've been making video games since I was in high school. A lot of my early work, like my first contract, was doing logo design work for Warner Brothers Music. I was making logos for like music groups. I was like 13, and I just had like a cracked version of Photoshop. And that kind of rolled into like a little bit of history of me being on MySpace, making websites for people and getting paid to put like Linkin Park and Evanescence on somebody's like Sonic RPing MySpace page. It was my MySpace page, by the way. But one thing led to the next, and before I knew it, I was at college, and like about to approach college, and I was working on my first game, and I was working on it with a couple of folks over Twitter, not even Twitter, over Tumblr, when that was big and popping. And
this was like the Earthbound style RPG thing.
Yeah, this is Genesis, very specifically named. And it was a very personal project, and it was definitely like baby's first video game, because I made like Flash games and put them out on like Newgrounds, like really small things. But I never really sat down and said, okay, what's a production? What are we putting out on early Steam? Like what I'm going to do to take to the next level, really to just boost my skills. And that really started a lot of conversations on the internet, talking with folks like Floor Baba, and talking with folks like Ricky Brugal, where they really introduced me to the chiptune scene. And, I bought my Game Boy, bought my LSDJ, started making chiptune using trackers. And I was able to, little fun fact about my early days, I was able to kind of license the Toriel's theme from Undertale before Toby was put it in Undertale as Toriel's theme. It was part of a Earthbound compilation album on Bandcamp. And but to get to the baseball, went to Becker College and showed up and came to the realization that I was much ahead of the curve with my classes. Like I was already making games, I was already launching games. And first freshman semester, they're like, video game history. We're gonna come learn about Madden and Pong. And it's like, I'm paying for this. Okay, I'm just gonna skip all my classes and go make games because that's what I came to school for. um, and my first like jam game, like I was still trying to make bigger games, but I was able to like really join the Becker IDGA, which was at the time run by Mike Flood, and who's part of working with Sheska on a number of projects. They happen to be working on a number of things. Mad love to them if they're in the chat right now. And they ran a 3-hour game jam where I was able to make just something in 3 hours called F mode. And I said, okay, I'll just put it on Itch.io. And I made like $70. And for me, I was like, whoa, I turned 3 hours into $70 for like a one-click endless runner. Whatever I do next has to be just as small. And for me, it was really just about challenging myself to make a game about something I did not enjoy. And that's where I said, okay, I'm gonna make a baseball game because
America's favorite pastime, but not yours, it seems.
not mine. I do not buy the baseball because it's one of those things. You pay for a ticket, you show up, and you're really just there to chill out and wait for something exciting to happen. And it's like, I could totally just do this at home.
Becker was obsessed with their baseball too, which I don't know if that came into. Their Wi-Fi password was MLB the show.
They totally were, and there's probably a bunch of folks like, oh, you hate baseball? No. I don't hate baseball. I just don't like boring baseball. Like when I'm watching like Korean folks play baseball and they're just out there stylish. You know what I'm saying? Like MLB out here in America, they don't let their players be expressive, and that's something that I really wanted to see.
Literally so much room for
sports.
fashion. They each have so much space out there. They can just decorate their own 8 feet around them in outfield.
Exactly. Like, there's so much to work with, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a baseball game. I'm gonna put it on mobile because that was a store I didn't really explore as much. Coming from Flash, mobile seemed like the natural transition, and that's when I started working on Starlight Derby. And at the time, I was just like, all right, it's gonna be a baseball game. You know how they say, oh, if you want to learn and improve as a game designer or a game developer, you try to replicate games that already exist. So I said, okay, I'm gonna make a baseball game, but I'm also gonna like remake Pong and remake Breakout and remake Space Invaders all at the same time. Like this is gonna be like the ultimate game design challenge for me, and just smash it into one challenge. And a month or so went by. I started in like October, let's say. Month goes by. I've got a little bit of an alpha. I've got like 2 or 3 fields on these different alien planets, and I show it to I don't remember his name. I think his name was Paul. He was the head of the games department at Becker. I'm like, hey, here's what I'm working on. Still skipping all my classes, still getting A's, still handing in my homework, but here's what I'm working on. And he's like, do you know Monty? And I'm like, Monty who? I don't know no Monty. Who's this Monty guy you talking about? Like, I don't care about nobody. You know what I'm saying? No status or anything ever gets in my head because we're all just people at the end of the day. And I go and meet Monty. I show him the demo. He's like, this is fantastic. What can I do for you besides write you a check? And I'm like, you've kind of shrunk my options. But for me, coming from New York, at the time, at the same time that I came to college, I actually became homeless. And for me, it was like, I'm in Boston. I'm in Worcester, Massachusetts. I don't know anybody out here. And I'm kind of a ghost in this industry. At the time, I really just needed support. You know what I'm saying? I needed somebody to provide me with direction because I had these talents and I had these things that I wanted to do, but not really understanding what that direction was. And Monty said, listen, the deadline to submit to the Mass Digi Game Challenge is tomorrow. Submit your game. And I said, I don't even know how to explain my game. It's baseball meets Pong meets Breakout meets Space Invaders, like, how do you even tell that to your grandmother? And that was like the spin that I had going into the game challenge, where one thing led to the next, and I ended up winning my category for best college beta. I believe I won the category for. I didn't win the entire thing, but I won the category.
Well, you say it, how do you explain that? I mean, the words you just used there are compelling. That is,
Yeah.
especially when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh my god, bunting is basically Arkanoid Breakout. It really physically maps to the game. I thought that was just really clever design.
Thank you. Yeah, it was just it's a little something I call stretch mechanics, where instead of adding new systems on top of your existing design philosophy, you instead attempt to stretch it to its maximum limits. And if anybody's looking for references of this in video games, I would definitely say play Bayonetta, which stretches its mechanics. I would say play.
It stretches a lot of things.
It stretches a lot of things. Definitely.
As I was saying, it's like that's going to come out really sexual. It's not what I meant, but I guess it is kind of true of that game too.
I don't know if you can say anything about Bayonetta and have it not come out that way. You say Bayonetta has a big chainsaw, and it's like, well, now that's something else.
But I'm also like a big fighting game and action game fan, so a lot of the mechanical theories behind just taking one thing and seeing how many times you can do it and still creating an exciting experience was the challenge for me. And after the game challenge, I launched it in like April, spent like 3 months on it, and it did pretty dang well. I think I made like maybe $150. Like for me, it's like it's not about making $1 million. It's just about any kind of progress. And I was like, listen, I made more than I did on F mode, and for me, that's a win. Was it the entire game I wanted to make? No, but there's always time to make the next game. And that's when, because I won the game challenge, I got into SIP for that summer. And
Right, the Summer Innovation Program, which is run. I don't know if I need to recap this. So many of our audience has been in it, or we've gone through the show. It's a program that Mass Digi would run in the summer, gather students from all over to make games.
Oh yeah, and it's a wonderful program. I think they just locked down their next selection for this year. If they continue to do it, given the situation with Becker, I highly recommend any students in the chat absolutely do it. It's a necessary learning experience because it will show you whether you should continue in games or not before it's too late. At least speaking for myself, not saying that they do anything harsh. There's no hazing at SIP, but it's very.
Yeah, they
much...
actually take you around the back and put a sack over your head, and they're like, "You want to make a video game?" And that's actually the entire program. It's pretty crazy.
I just go scope.
Yeah, Whiskey, you were talking about how your goal was to make tiny things, small games, and that's like the number one lesson I hear. And Monty is always telling everybody SIP is scope. So once again, were you were just like, I'm on this, I got this, or was there still any scope issues for you in SIP?
No. And this is where my mad scientist line kind of plays into me. And if my team is here watching, they know exactly what I mean when I say this next line. So Mass Digi had a unique collaboration with a baseball team in Worcester called the Worcester Bravehearts. And they had them come in, and at the time we were ice breaking the games we were going to make, kind of just coming together as random teams and pitching concepts. And then they had this giant mascot walk in a lion suit. And it's like, okay, what's with the Disney? What's all of this Disney summer camp stuff going on? And we had the mascot there. We had Dave Peterson, who is, I believe, the general manager of the Worcester Bravehearts, come in. And they were like, we want you to pitch us a game with our mascot. And I'm like, they're a baseball team? We're about to put this together? Like, for real? So everybody's pitching their concept. And I'm like, I'm sitting here in the corner like, keep going, that's a nice idea. I like that. And then I just, after everybody pitches and my team pitches, I stand up and I go, I have a baseball game built right now. I have an engine sitting here ready to be used, and I can make your game for you. And Monty and Tim looked at each other and they looked at me. They said, okay, you think you could do this and build the game that for us? And I said, I'm making 2 games this summer.
Oh, you took it
So
on top of SIP.
Ooh,
I'm
brutal.
I'm
I
making 2
admire your
games.
tenacity.
so, so I definitely spent 2 games that summer.
Double scope.
Double scope. I broke
Double
the
scope.
I broke the number 1 SIP rule, and I highly doubt there's probably a rule in SIP now that no student will ever work on 2 games ever again because I don't want to set the precedent that like yeah I could do it like I'll flex on that real quick like yeah no problem. But it was great. I was for the SIP game I was the lead designer and tools developer for Hibachi Hero, which surprisingly still is kicking these days.
Wow.
I believe Mightier is using it very extensively as part of their program, and like Hibachi Heroes like in the New York Times for like healthy video game habits. Like
That's crazy.
I'm like, whoa, like it's I'm talking with like old teammates. We talked all the SAP 15 folks got together a few days ago. We were just reminiscing. It's just like, dang, this game's still going. Like, oh, wow, I'm surprised, especially, given the rate at which mobile games come and go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that SIP and Starlight Derby and Bravehearts Derby launched right after with Hibachi Hero. Like I launched 2 games simultaneously. I would spend the whole day working on Hibachi Hero, and then I would spend maybe 4 hours after work working on Bravehearts Derby, and we made it happen one way or another. We made it happen. I was lucky to be able to grab a couple of members from SIP to help. Like I was contracting them and paying them to help me make this baseball game while at Mass Digi. It was insane.
It seems like you've put a lot of work into pulling towards you when you see these opportunities, showing up at Becker, like you're saying, you felt like you were ahead of the curve, but you made it work for you. And so it sounds like you got a lot of value out of your time there. It seems to me like you did a lot.
Yeah.
But Becker's coming to a close. And I know that's something that affects a lot of people in our community, both just quite literally they're there. It affects them now, or they've recently been there, or just affects them emotionally as they were there, been part of it. Myself, I've just been sort of a friend to it, meeting with clubs and whatnot. And so I'm an outsider who's sort of, saddened by this. And do you have anything to share about your thoughts and feelings on this?
I had to take the shades off for this one because it's definitely it's serious time. It's as much fun as we're having. My initial feeling is that I am not surprised by the way that they executed the communication of the college closing. Becker has, even though I've been in business with them, they have definitely disappointed me in the past. And this has nothing to do with Mass Digi. Mass Digi and Becker for me are like 2 completely separate entities because I would be nowhere close to where I am right now without the work of Monty and Tim and Mass Digi and all the support that they provided me. But the school, and fantastic teachers at the school too. You know what I'm saying? Like I had some fantastic teachers. I had some other teachers, but I had some fantastic teachers too. And I'm still friends with these teachers. You feel me? So I ain't gonna name no names. Yeah. But the way that they rolled out the communication of like, yo, we shutting down the school. Y'all gotta be out of here tomorrow. Is very reminiscent to an experience I had my freshman year where when I became homeless, and it was like, I can't go back to New York, so I guess I better start knocking on my school's door to see if they can help me because I know they let students stay, they let the students stay during the summer. Maybe I could work on the campus, be a janitor, something, anything, to have a roof over my head and not have to sleep in Elm Park. You know what I'm saying? Because that's exactly what I had to do. I had to sleep in Elm Park for like weeks when that college closed. And I went around and they said, sorry, it would just be unfair to the other students here. And see, that's when I came to the conclusion that college is a business before it's an education. And it's always at the detriment of the students and the teachers and the faculty. It's never like I never really see a college that will go to the hill for its students. I can't name one, and I've spoken at many. So, realistically, I can't understand how we pay so much for these schools. We go into debt for these
Yeah.
schools, ruin our lives for these schools, and one thing come the next, and they say, "Thanks for playing. See you tomorrow." Then they drive off in their Porsche and their Lamborghinis on their way back to their mansions, and then you got to figure out how you're going to get your education together. Like,
Hmm.
and talking to the students that are there, what I'm saying, hearing their stories, it resonates. This is not news to me. It's just
Yeah.
an unfortunate truth for those who weren't aware. And the sad reality is that Worcester now has a very large vacuum where Becker once used to be. Becker provided a large amount of space and a large amount of just a lot of resources for students. You know what I'm saying? Like Mass Digi will continue. I've read their newsletter. I know that they're going to continue. And there's a lot in the air, and I don't really know where folks are going to land. But I just couldn't imagine being a freshman showing up to Becca for any program, not even just games, showing up for the veterinary program or for the sports management program, and then hearing, this is your last semester, figure it out. I don't know. You think you would have expected better for a school making so much money? Where's the money going? You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm paying 110, 20K, stay on campus, eat this food, and you got hundreds of students on this campus, hundreds of students on a completely separate campus. I don't know. Teachers ain't getting paid well, not well enough.
Yeah.
So I'm not even disappointed. I'm past surprised. I'm past disappointed. I'm just more concerned for the students and for the faculty that now have to scatter to the wind and really just
Yeah.
figure these things out.
I mean, it seems
And
really unfortunate that like you talk about those resources that you were able to use, they weren't necessarily being wielded in some way you thought was like responsibly, or it was motivated more by business, but it did end up in providing you with opportunities.
oh yeah,
And so that's a path that you went through, you pushed through and made it work for you. Um, without, are there other paths for these students to be able to take advantage of something else, and ideally part of some organization that cares more about them, like Mass Digi? I know Monty and Tim, they really do care about the students. What else can someone do to get these opportunities?
honestly, it's I'm not very keen on giving advice like this because the
Sure.
rules change almost like every year. You know what I'm
Very
saying?
fair.
Like I could give this advice and it's very contextual and very specific. So I could really only talk from like my perspective and at least the things that I had to do to get to not being homeless anymore. But it was very much taking advantage of every opportunity that I could find. And that meant showing up. And this is some of the most powerful advice I ever got. But I spent like the last $100 I had in my pocket to go to IndieCade, probably like 2014, 2015, around
Out
that time.
in LA?
No, out
Oh,
in
East.
Queens. Yeah, out
Indicate
in
East, yeah.
Queens at the
Like
moving
Valentine's Day or
picture.
something, so maybe around that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely around February. It was cold, and it was my first time. Still a ghost, but I met essentially, he's very much a mentor and very much close. His family. His name is Sean Allen Alexander,
Yeah.
and he was giving a talk with Dan Butchko at the same time, and mostly just about, I believe, Kickstarter and just promotional stuff and just getting your name out there. And he just wrapped up a Kickstarter for his game, Beatdown City, Treachery in Beatdown City. And I went up to him, like, black guy, tall, just like me, giant afro. I'm just like, yeah, I feel like somebody I could really talk with. And I asked him, I was like, I'm out here and I'm trying really, really hard. So what do I do? You know what I'm saying? Because being good ain't enough anymore, right? Being cool, looking good. It's not enough. It's not enough anymore. You got to have an extreme amount of luck. But the thing that he told me that I consistently worked at was show up, show up, just show up. And that consistency builds trust. And that stuck so hard with me where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show up for the people that I care about, even if I ain't got none. I'm gonna give the back off. I'm gonna give the shirt off my back for people because I love them. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I've always done. But when he said that in regards to games and in regards to the advice I'd give to anybody here, it's your community is your strongest resource, and that's not going to running into Ziba because he made kind words and saying, "Hey, I know you made that game. It's really cool. I love you. Can I have your autograph?" No, no, no. That's like this is like real deal Holyfield, genuine relationships, people that you can be friends with, people that you could like say like, "Yo, I really need somebody." You could call them up when you need that person, like that kind of community, that kind of love, and that kind of trust it's rare and it's hard to find, but once you find it, you hold on to it and you don't let go, because when it comes down to the worst of times, you got somebody to call. You never want to be dolo, you never want to be solo out here. Just really just like, even if you're a one team dev, you gotta have your village, because
Oh,
these
yeah.
are the folks that'll champion you, and these are the folks that support you and love you. Even this community, even y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't be on this show without you, all of you. So me being here is proof of the power of a, a really strong community that cares about each other. So when in doubt, a closed mouth don't get fed. So if you need some help, you reach out.
That's
Wise words.
very well said. And one of the things that you are practicing, practicing what you're teaching there is you are contributing. I believe Sean Alexander is also part of the Game Devs of Color Expo, which is something you're helping out with, which is again about building community. It's something to show up to where you can connect with others. Can you maybe pitch that event?
I
You want?
absolutely can. Let me make sure I have the clearance. Yes, I have the clearance. So Game Does a Color Expo is it's a video game expo, very specifically focused on game devs of color. Um, the event is going to happen. Let me make sure I get these dates right, because I don't want to look like a fool live on TV. The dates will be September 23rd to September 27th of this year. And the beautiful thing is that it's happening online. The tickets are on a sliding scale from, I believe, and I'm gonna get this number wrong. It's We have a sliding scale for the tickets. I don't believe the prices have been announced, but essentially, if you can't afford to go, we can work something out to help you go. It's a beautiful community, and essentially, it's going to be strictly online this year because of COVID and wanting to keep people safe. We're doing 2 days this year, compared to every other year. We've done about one day. But last year we had a really giant blowout of people. We had like 1,500 people from like around the world showed up. We had people
Whoa.
from
Whoa.
Japan, we had people from like New Zealand just showing up. And this, even though it's gamed as a color expo, everybody is welcome. Anybody can come through and celebrate the wonderful games that we'll be showcasing this year. But we did just finish up our games and speakers applications. However, this is a yearly event, and those will open up again. So if this is your first time hearing about GDoc, I highly recommend keeping them on your wire, because the event gets bigger and more beautiful every single year. And we would love to see you there.
That's awesome. I could ask you questions forever. I think the show ended a half hour ago or something, but we're stop. And I am so grateful for you being here and for all you do.
Yeah, you've been a spectacular guest.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I want to
much
close with some
wisdom.
opportunities for you to talk about how people can follow you, connect with you on the Twitter that terrifies you, and yet you do, or absolutely on your Kickstarter. How do
Réjon,
you want to?
how can people find you posting pictures of the Spirit Swap logo edited to say Christian Side Hug.
You can follow me on Twitter at maximum_crash. That is with a underscore between the maximum and the crash, because I am currently attempting to get maximum crash with no underscore from a guy who says he's a womanizer.
Ooh.
But thankfully, Maximum Crash became an LLC this year, so I can finally go to Twitter with like, "Hey, I've got my papers, so give me the name."
I've heard that if you fight him to death in trial by combat, you'll get to host a talk show.
Oh yeah, it's it's the all ultimates laboratory mad scientist NB versus the womanizer. Place your bets now.
My mind's lost in that awesome match you just pitched. I was seeing that.
I would. I don't watch wrestling. That's a grudge match that I would see any day.
Absolutely. I don't tweet a lot, but if I do tweet, it's most likely going to be me making a shit post of our logo. Given that I'm currently on a Kickstarter vacation until we get back into production. So the only damage I can do to my company brand is to make really, really good memes out of our logo. Other than that, I'll probably I'm still kind of archiving, categorizing my old work, since a lot of folks don't know about my history as a game developer. So really just organizing that, putting that on Twitter, and just talking smack. So my DMs are open if you ever want to hit me up with a question, or if you're looking for some help, I'll do what I can to help you.
And you got some sweet pictures yourself at RéjonTaylor.com, so everybody should go check those out. I just love that below their pictures so much.
Really good.
Yeah, another fun fact about that website, it's 2 going on 3 years old, and I won an award from Google for it. Mobile, they called it mobile excellence or something. I was like, all right, that's a resume slapper.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. We are going to be opening this up to happy hour because we have lots of people watching, and this is the Boston Indies Talk Show and Happy Hour, which is the whole point is to join everybody else, come into the conversation. We're going to open up the Zoom call that we're in for everybody else, and be sure to check out the Slack channel, the Boston Game Dev Slack channel. Is that what we call it? The Boston Game Dev?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That's where we pull things from, make announcements. There's a play games channel. You go in there and play games with people. Kate, I did not ask you to prepare words of wisdom to lead us out. So how about some words of wisdom to lead us out?
Words of wisdom. If you microwave a Hot Pocket and then boil it, is it a calzone or a ravioli? That's something for you to think on.
You exceed my expectations, so there's a tear in my eye. All right, beautiful. Thank you. That's a wrap. Take it away, Chris.
Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll of course be back next week with another episode of The Bit Show, the Boston Indies Talk Show and Happy Hour. We'll be talking to James Johnston of Rude Ghost Games, who just released Pixel Puzzle Makeout League. Actually, maybe not just. Maybe that was like 2 months ago at this point. Anyway, looking forward to that one. That'll be next Thursday, the 29th at 7:30, as usual, at twitch.tv/Boston Indies. And I'm going to post a link to the happy hour chat in the Boston Game Dev Slack channel, which I posted a link to earlier. And come hang out, chit chat. And we'll see you around. Later, folks. Oh, here we'll do one more. We'll do one more round of applause for our guest here, actually, before we fade out.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Mad love to you all.
All right, thanks, folks. We'll see you around.